Okay. Hello and welcome to another video, day 10 on the road to 21-inch arms. Productive session today, and the thing I want to talk about, the theme of today's video is going to be about recovery. I think this is one of the most overlooked aspects of training for muscle growth and something that I have still yet to perfect. In my previous session, I was definitely not fully recovered, and it was not a good workout. It felt like, my shoulder was hurting, my lower back was hurting. I had all these twinges, and my body just kind of looked flat. And today was a completely different story because yesterday I did a corpse day. Okay. What does that mean? You just lay on the couch and do nothing all day. And then I got a good sleep. Today's session, night and day difference, where, 1 or 2 sets in, the pump is just dramatic. I feel strong. My muscles look full. And it really feels like I'm able to produce a session that could stimulate new muscle growth. Where other days where I'm not emphasizing recovery on my rest days and getting a good night's sleep, feels like you're in there just swimming upstream and your body's not really responding in a way where you're going to grow. And I've noticed this over many years. And so I think the biggest area of improvement for me, if I'm going to get to 21-inch pipe daddies, is going to be to master my recovery. And I think one aspect is I might be underestimating my ability, my training intensity. I don't want to sound cocky or arrogant, but I do think the degree of intensity that I'm able to put into each set has gone up over time, and the demand that has on your body, your whole central nervous system, not just the muscle, the amount of total systemic fatigue that creates is more substantial. And I haven't elevated my recovery skill set or ability, think of it that way, to stay online with this because, it's difficult enough to stimulate growth in the gym. You can have workouts where they're not productive in the sense that you didn't do enough to stimulate growth. But then you need to meet that stimulus with recovery. And in this case, for me, at this time, my recovery, I can't get away with half-assing it. I'm I went to bed by 11:30 and, I didn't do too much the day before, but I tend to kind of have a bit of a active mind and I'm sort of racing around doing stuff on my rest days. And that's not going to cut it at this point. I need to do consistent corpse days, which, maybe sounds crazy and counterproductive, but if I'm going to push that hard in the gym, push my body to get this extreme result, I need to kind of take an extreme approach to recovery as well. All right. So on the rest days, forcing myself to lay on the couch and just chill and don't take too much on. And I think it kind of enters into this discussion of the purposeful simplicity or making yourself stupider than you are. in the case of if I'm identifying that I want this extreme goal of 21-inch arms, okay, well, what are all the things that are required to achieve that? And one of them is going to be to slow down my mind and adopt a more restful lifestyle. I think if you look at a trend I've noticed, some of the people that, seem to produce the most muscle growth, like Chris Bumstead as an example, he's a pretty simple guy. He does not seem to get stressed. And he's not all over the place. You watch the videos, he's very calm, he's kind of monotone. It's just simple. And my speculation would be that he's an elite level recoverer. He's got elite level recovery abilities. On his days off, he's just chilled. There's not much stimulating his central nervous system. He rests. The stimulus that he creates in the gym gets completely absorbed into muscle because, I'm just speculating. But that's just an example, and you can see the temperament and the personality and how he's kind of solely focused on one thing, at least when he was, still actively competing. And so, I'm obviously not Chris Bumstead or anything like that, but trying to take something from that and adopt some of the habits that have led to that success, I look at myself and I go, okay, I need to slow my brain down I need to try to think less. I need to analyze less. I need to just be like smooth brain and just not think too much and just allow your body to rest. And I think one of the issues I run into is I feel like I need to be productive. And I need to try to make more money. I need to try to get these done. I have all these tasks done. I need to do all these things today. And that's just the trade-off of like, if you want this one extreme goal, then you have to give other things up. Nothing comes without sacrifice. And realistically, I need to be an elite level recoverer. I don't know, that word is just weird to me. Recoverer. I don't think that's an actual word. I need to adopt a lifestyle that leads to elite level recovery from my sessions. And that means not living in a completely normal way. You can't get away with staying up a little bit late, and you can't get away with doing a ton of shit on your rest days. Like, you need to actually just fucking rest. And it's been pretty clear that the stimulus that I'm creating recently is not being met with an equal amount of recovery. And the stimulus seems pretty dramatic. And I think maybe some of you would be like, well, you're just training arms and, legs once every 6 days, which I'm not pushing my legs with crazy intensity. My goal is not to have gigantic, massive legs. I just want them to come along for the journey and be proportionate enough that it doesn't look silly. Just being brutally honest. And the arms, that's, my main priority. But I do think that like the amount of fatigue that I'm able to create in each session has escalated over time. I think I've underestimated that. And so I need to take on a lifestyle that is structured to really optimize all of that stimulus that happens in the gym. The next 48 hours before my next workout, I need to be dialed in. I can't get away with saying I'm going to achieve this extreme goal, but I'm not going to do everything I can to recover properly. So that was kind of the theme of today's session. The other thing I adjusted was I went from doing 3 kind of heavy working sets for biceps and triceps in an alternating fashion, where I go biceps, rest, triceps, rest, biceps, rest, triceps, rest. I had an extra round of that, so an additional set for triceps, an additional set for biceps with the heavier weights, and then I reduced the amount of pump work I did at the end, because I've been thinking that what leads to most of the muscle growth, I think, are these heavier sets with the longer rest time, pushing higher loads, big loads. Excuse me. And the pump work at the end of the workout, as more time goes on, I don't think it's that responsible for more growth. I enjoy it, and it's a great way to finish the session, but I don't want to do too much. So now I just did 3 sets, or a drop set, or mile reps in this case with the triceps, where I do 3 consecutive sets with a 10-second rest in between, with the 75-pound dumbbell, and then I rest a minute, and then I go do the same thing for curls, 3 sets, 10-second rest, boom, boom, boom. You're overloading the muscle, going down to partials at the end, using these techniques that lead to pulling as much blood into the muscle as possible. I just did those 3 sets for the triceps, and then a 1-minute rest, and those 3 sets for the biceps. And that's not really 3 normal sets. To me, it's kind of like one extended set where you're pushing into further levels of fatigue and not really resting, but it's still volume that's taxing your central nervous system. And previously I would do like multiple rounds of that. I would do like twice as much of that or more. And I think I get 90 to 95% as good of a pump from just one round of it as I do to multiple rounds of it. And given that, I'm trying to be more cognizant of the total amount of fatigue and stimulus I'm putting on my body, because, up till now, I haven't been putting enough into the recovery to fully recover from that for every workout to feel productive, or as productive as it could be. I'm like, that's something I want to take out, because it's fun and I love training like that, but I don't think it's as productive for muscle growth. I'd rather trim that pump stuff down to like just the minimum, 3 quick sets of tricep extensions. It takes like a minute, and then 3 quick sets of that for biceps, and that's it. And you'll get, freaking pumped up, and that's just tack a little pump fluff stuff on at the end, and then have an extra quality heavy weight, set in the workout. And then, addressing my recovery outside of the gym to better utilize the stimulus, the work that's done in the gym. So for you guys, I think, I can't encourage you enough to try to assess your own routine and what you're doing and what you could potentially do to get better at recovery yourself. And I'm walking you through my own process and things that I'm doing to try to spark you to assess yourself too. We look outward so much at what other people are doing wrong, or it's very easy to give advice to someone else. And you look in the mirror and try to give some more advice to yourself and go, could I be doing more to recover? Do I have big goals in the gym? Am I really trying to put on a ton of tissue? It's one thing if you've mastered training hard enough in the gym. To me, that's the easy part. I mean, everybody's got their challenge, but to change your lifestyle to be more restful outside of the gym and potentially eliminate other activities or other stressors in your life so that you can really allow your body to kind of soak up all that stimulus you do in the gym to produce the most muscle gain possible, then that is something that you should definitely try to address, because it's balancing that equation of a stimulus and recovery. So hopefully that helps you to maybe adjust something yourself so that you can get better recovery and make more gains ultimately. That's what it's all about, right? Speaking of which, if you want to get gigantic pipe daddies, as always, the ARM program is linked below. Access to all the different courses is there, as well as my current daily ARM routines, kind of explained in detail, exact reps, sets, rest times, everything. And then also the hormone enhancement page is there, where I talk about everything I'm doing in that arena to continue to stimulate further growth. Full transparency, discussing in detail my experiences and everything that I'm doing, and what my current stack looks like, the adjustments I'm making, everything I've learned. So trying to give you guys full transparency, and I think that that's something that's just more realistic that we need in the space. And ultimately people need to understand what goes into producing certain results. And I think not talking about it doesn't help people to make an educated decision, even if in a lot of cases that means choosing to not go down that path. I think a lot of people would if they properly understood all of the things that go with it. So it's not just to get you excited and educated. Oh, I'm going to take the plunge, I'm going to do that. It's to make you see full picture what role those things actually play, because people aren't openly talking about that. And you'll then start to understand, if you go and subscribe to my site and watch the videos, you'll realize it's not a magic fix. There's a lot of negatives that come with it, and it's hard to manage it in a way that's going to be beneficial. And then it's really only worth it if you are super committed to the gym and it means a lot to you and you have a really big goal to justify these things. Otherwise, it's like, holy shit, it didn't even lead to a better long-term position for most people. And so that's my goal with that, is the people that, you do decide maybe it is right for you. That's for you to decide. I'm just trying to give you transparent experience that I'm having and knowledge so that you understand. And so that, people that are kind of maybe misunderstanding or being a bit delusional that, I'm going to go enhanced and then everything's going to change. And it's like a lot of people that do that, they end up regretting it and their lives are worse. And you need we need better education out there so that people don't make those mistakes if it's not the right thing for you. And then the people that, are curious and are really committed and, this is the most, one of the most important things in my life, and I want to take some risks and I want to understand what I'm doing, but I want more progress and it's super important for me, and I'm willing to take the time to learn and then decide if these risks are worth it. Those people need the right information. And I think, anybody who's promoting themselves as a fitness person and showing their physique and then giving advice, if there's additional enhancements involved, I think the world will be better if you're transparent and you say what those things are truthfully, so people can understand. Because it's frustrating, I think, when you look at somebody who gives you these advice and they leave out this huge component and they just say, oh, all they do is talk about their program structure and how, this is the best way to train in this rep range. And they have this incredible physique, but they don't tell you about all these other things they're doing. It's like, well, everybody's kind of taking your advice because of the way you look, but a big part of the reason that you look like that is because of these things. So, I don't know. That's just my view of the world, is that I think everything would be better if people are just honest. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of concern and a lot of different ways you can look at it. And some people say it's bad because you're promoting it and all this stuff. At the end of the day, I don't think manipulating the access to knowledge and truth is the right way to treat people. I think you give people knowledge and you give people honesty and you empower them to make their own decisions. Nobody is really like, I want to sit here and have the people that have this other information or these other experience and knowledges to decide for me what access to that information I get. I want them to, not say stuff because they're making the determination that the public or this viewer or that person won't make a good decision. So I need to manipulate what I tell them so that I lead them to a decision that I think is right for them. You don't want that. Nobody wants that. You want to make the decision yourself. You want autonomy over your own life. And I think to me, it's just very, what's the word? Like, not ironic, but it's just like hypocritical or something. It doesn't line up to want to promote yourself as like a fitness person, and you want attention, you want people to look at you, and you want to give advice, and then you want to sell something to make money off of it, which is what a lot of people's interest is. But then you also want to dictate what version of reality and the truth that you give to them. So it's like, give me all this attention, but I'm also going to give you a very curated truth that seems acceptable and will, lead you to buying my stuff. But I'm going to leave out all this stuff because it's not palatable and you'll make the wrong decision. So I'm not going to tell you what I'm actually doing because I don't want to deal with that, and it's just uncomfortable and people are going to judge me and there's all these stigmas. So it's not going to make me look good, my brand image. Me, I'm like, fuck that shit. This is the truth. This is what I'm doing. This is full transparency. These are experiences I'm having. I've stayed natural up to this point. 18-inch arms, 215 pounds, and I decided to go on the road of enhancements. These are the results I'm getting. This is what I'm seeing. That's what I want to share with you guys, and I think it ultimately each individual's choice, and I want people to be more educated and understand the full scope. And I think if we could snap our fingers and have perfect transparency and everybody actually see clearly the trajectory if they went down that path versus the other trajectory, I think a lot of people would choose to not go down that path. I think part of the problem is it's all smoke and mirrors, and the people that are like just are in a vulnerable place and they just not access information. They just decide, I'm just gonna hop on a crazy cycle and do this, and then they freaking regret it 3 years later, and it's worse. And so that's why I'm trying to create a scenario where it's like these things exist, and in certain applications, based on your own assessment and education, it could be worth the risk for you if you determine that for yourself. But in a large majority of instances, it won't actually lead to the results you want because you don't understand what's going to happen and what like the realistic trajectory is. For example, I'll just finish with this and then I'll move on and then we'll end the video. Most people don't understand that for every one person you see in the gym, that big guy who's like roided out and huge, that there's 9 guys that are taking something that look nothing like that big dude, and you wouldn't even expect them to be in the enhanced world. So when you understand that, nobody looks at it as like, I want to be one of those 9 guys and put these other things in my body and take these risks and maybe have some side effects and not even look much different. That's just one little like tidbit for you to consider. That's the reality of it. And I think once you understand that, it's okay, unless this is like super important to me and I'm dedicating like a large chunk of my energy and life to this, the reality of the landscape is like, holy, I'm not even going to get great results. Not the way that I'm thinking, not the way that the public thinks, because you only see that one person who's has exceptional results and looks really big. And, and there's a bunch of things that go into that, their intensity, their consistency, and then their genetic response. And the average person who's like lifting and in the gym and like, maybe younger or whatever age has things to improve naturally that they're not even checking the boxes with. And they think, I'll go enhance, I'll take this, and then I'll look like that. And then they take a bunch of stuff and they gain 5 pounds of muscle. That's it. And they have all these side effects and they regret it. That's a reality that's not being broadcasted as an example. And so that's why I think it's really important to give people the information and the knowledge. And that's one thing I've noticed since navigating this space is it's not clear. And a lot of people lie about what they're doing for personal gain and hide this and hide that. And, it's not in the public's best interest, so we can't tell them the truth. It's like, shit exists, man. And people are curious. And I think, I'm just ideologically, you empower people. I really oppose the idea that I have this information, I have this knowledge, I'll decide what's right to tell people. Fuck that. You know, I can't deal with that personally. You got to give people the information, and don't treat them like children that can't make a choice. And it's just going to influence all these people to just do. If you don't give them the accurate information, yeah. And if you're dodgy about it and you glorify it or you do all this stuff, yeah, maybe. But if you actually tell people the truth, I think it would probably lead to more people who it could be the right decision are more likely to do it. People who it's the wrong decision are more likely to not do it, because now they actually have access to the information and actually understand that, holy shit, in the long run, I'm actually going to be worse off. I don't want to do that. And right now, I think people that are in that boat, a lot of them still end up doing it because they don't have access to information. They don't understand. They don't have all the information. So I'm pissed off. This person lied to me, and that fake natties, and all these people, and this guy's jacked. He's lying, and I'll be jacked if I do it. I'm just going to do it. And then they get even more pissed off because they got side effects and lost all their hair, and now they're even didn't get more jacked or very little. So anyways, let's end the video there. I always end up rambling longer than I intend to. But if you're interested in that topic at all, I'm sharing my journey on my site. Detailed videos. You can see here, I've popped some of the titles up. Recent topics. There's like 5 or 6 videos there. I'm adding videos, every other day. And you get access to that along with all the ARM programs to get your pipes juicy. So there you go. Hope you have a great freaking day. Go make some gains. Peace.